You know, when people become celebrities, or to what you're saying, an avatar, you live in a cage and a prison and you almost cannot be yourself.
Yeah.
Do you never struggle with that? Because like I said, obviously we laugh at how you speak and stuff.
Sure.
Do you never feel like you have to constantly look
a certain way,
like your brand, and you can never break out of character and just be vulnerable? I mean, I talk shit. I know sometimes you swear now and again, it's very rare, but generally you're very well kept and polished. Do you never struggle with this thing psychologically where you find like you're fighting the brand versus yourself?
I used to, not anymore. And the reason is, you know, if you ever read my tweets, they signed VT.
Yeah.
That ain't me. I work for VT. I'm not VT.
Yeah.
VT goes to work. He has a mandate, things he's got to deliver and do.
Yeah.
And I work for him. And when I show up for work, I do that. Let me put it to you another way. So, you know, I invest in like different companies. I'm CEO of a venture firm, right? And the other day I was having this conversation with my rabbi and I said to him, this is interesting. When we are looking for people to hire, we say we have a role.
Yes.
Isn't that what Hollywood calls actors?
100%.
In other words, when I hire Penuel, I need him to play a role. I'm not asking him to be himself.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So for me, that conflict was divorced when I realized that actually every single day, all of us are playing a role. If we taxi driver, you play a role.
It's a fact.
There are things you have to do to survive as a taxi driver. If you're a cashier at a Pick and Pay, or you are an administrator at a Home Affairs office, you play a role.
Yeah.
There are things you have to do to be effective at that. And so in my mind, I kind of went, these are just the things I have to do to be effective at this. I happen to be good at doing those things. Doing those things is not who I am. It's something I'm doing. And once I was able to divorce those two things, oh man, it was all chilled. Until then, it was huge conflict. I will tell you this because you'll understand it. It was huge conflict because I didn't understand why I was hated by people I admired.
Sure.
I was like, how the fuck does that work?
Yeah.
Like, I love my people. I love my people.
Yeah.
Why would I be hated by the people I admire? Why would I be hated by people I want to spend time with? You know, there are videos of mine that circulate on social media. People don't believe when I tell them. Mina ngiyagibela V12 chief, whichever one that's in the garage at the time. Ngishaya Kia and go look for his sport is a god. It's my thing.
Sure.
My kids will tell you, like, Dad, don't mess with him. Nekota kababa.
Sure.
Right? I'm like, y'all do sushi? I mean, I go on Mr. Ding Tengi Koda. I'm that guy.
Sure.
And if they deliver it and it's got that lettuce, we're going to have a problem. There should be no lettuce.
Sure.
Gukota. Do you understand? Like, keep lettuce the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Ingenapi lettuce gukota. That's me. So I know who I am. I know where I come from. I love that. And I'm plugged into that. And then I didn't understand when or how, for whatever reason, the people who, in the main, not completely, but some of the people in that space didn't identify with me anymore.
Yeah.
That was a tough, rough couple of years, man.
So the part you were saying about a role reminds me of a Kanye West clip. I don't know what talk show he was on, and he was saying young children have got all these huge dreams.
Yeah.
And when a child jumps on a coffee table and they want to fly because they're Superman, someone will say, teach your child how to act.
Yes.
And he was saying we're all actors and we need to break through the simulation.
Beautiful.
So it ties in with that, which is very powerful and it's real. Look, we're all born blank canvases, and over time we are put into roles and you almost get imprisoned. If you're a taxi driver and you want to be yourself, the passengers who are used to other taxi drivers who act will teach you. Absolutely. Why are you opening the door for us? Why are you saying, yes, ma'am, yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Like this, and then you almost get forced. My fear when I study human beings is I think a big part of what's causing mental illnesses and depression today is so many people conflicted in their heads around who they want to be,
yes, sir,
who they're supposed to be. And at some point, because I've got this imagination of a board of directors being your ancestors in your head, and they're always bickering. because Ukokbani and Mkulbani, they want to dominate, right? And that's who your personality takes after.
And Ukoko was like head of the risk and audit committee. So they was like, don't say that, Penuel.
Now but now you've got that board of directors in your head, which is your ancestors and your genetics you were born with. And now you're introducing new data. Number one, you're speaking a language they don't understand. Number two, you're in a space where you're trying to behave in a way that even they don't understand. And that becomes the conflict of them inside you fighting this. And I think that's where the clash happens. And
it's beautiful. I
want to try to figure out, do you feel, at least in your work, you've managed to harness the board of directors in your head? Have you gotten buy-in or... And this is what I was trying to... Or is there still a conflict where they're still like, look, but as soon as he gets home, because that's all we understand.
Yeah, except that... So no, there is no conflict because I don't see them as opposing ends of a team. I think they're a continuum.
Okay.
The one plays defense, the other plays offense.
Okay.
And depending on the strategy we're playing, different teams have to play.
Yeah.
Right? It goes to the way I speak English. I love hearing the criticism.
When did you start speaking like this?
My whole life, as
Never.
far as I know.
It's
but
impossible.
let me answer you.
Mommy, may I please have some milk?
So let me answer you this way, right? So if you know, like I've got recorded video content of mine at 17, the first time I won the World Championship in public speaking. I've got recorded video footage of mine at 15 when I first started public speaking. I've got recorded video footage of mine at 13 when I had just won there was like a mini contest, and I won like a mini contest of, you know, all the under 13s were doing kyokushin in that particular like part of town or whatever. And I watch and that guy is a consistent guy. There's no change there, right? So I think what has morphed over time, and I want to find the right words to explain it, so you must be patient with me.
Sure.
Isn't it we agree that you can be a bookkeeper and a chartered accountant? Both are in the same discipline, but there are different levels of proficiency.
Yeah.
Right. But to acquire those levels of proficiency, there's certain things they have to do to prove themselves capable of working at that level. Right. What do? I'm a global speaker. What does that mean? That means in a week from now, I'll be in Tokyo. A week after that, in Kuala Lumpur. A week after that, in Brazil. And everywhere I go, I am completely relatable.
Yeah.
So what South Africans say, he doesn't sound South African. No, because I'm a globalist.
Yeah.
I sound how I need to and have been trained to. This is important. You don't wake up talking like this.
Yeah.
I was trained to. This is why I'm the highest paid speaker in the continent. It's because when I land in Nigeria, I hit. When I land in Mombasa, I hit. When I land in Beijing, I hit. When I land in Los Angeles, I share the stages with the biggest guys you guys follow on Twitter and on social media. And every time I get off, they go, God damn, who's that guy?
Yes, you're flexing, boy, but we feel it.
But the point is, it's because I take what I do seriously.
Yeah.
And if the choice is to choose between remaining who I was in the small confines of this environment and becoming who I have become in the broader context of the global environment, for me, that's not a choice you want to make me to make, because you're not going to like the decision that I'm going to take.
Sure.